we're going to talk about the Agent IQ Python library. The Agent IQ Python library is designed to allow enterprise developers to bring together or to develop agentic AI applications by bringing together components from different large language model frameworks or inventing components themselves. These large language model frameworks might be LangChain or Llama Index, CrewAI or Semantic Kernel or many others. Having the flexibility to move across these in a unified programming model provides a lot of flexibility and reusability between teams. Teams building out these applications will effectively be building IQ plugins. These plugins materialize in the form of Python packages that can be pip installed. Once pip installed, they are usable by any of your team members. So within IQ, there are several different types of components that can be included in these packages. So let's go through those now. The first is large language models. We have an ability to instantiate clients that can communicate with hosted large language models. These are the main reasoning engines behind these agentic AI applications. Similar with embedders. Embedders are great when working within retriever types of logics. Functions or tools. These are typically provided to LLM-backed agents in order to extend their capabilities with specific functionality. In addition to being just provided to agents, they can also be called directly as normal Python functions. Retrievers provide an interface to interact with things like vector databases. Our evaluator provides an ability to assess the accuracy of your agentic AI application, as well as instrument its performance, so you can identify hotspots and maximize throughput when deployed. Our registry handlers provide an interface to deploy these packages to a registry of your choice to allow other developers to use. Our front ends provide an entry point into the application, so we'll see how this works using a FastAPI endpoint later on, as well as how it connects to our UI. And then finally, packages. Right? As I mentioned, everything will be a pip installable plugin package to facilitate maximum developer velocity. So let's get into this a little bit more. So what you're looking at on the left is a VS Code IDE, and then on the right is the UI that comes with the Agent IQ library. So the first thing we're going to do is if we're a developer, we might be interested in the types of components that have been included in the core library and registered with the system that I can start using immediately. So one thing I might do here is use our info utility and have a look at all the components. So what we'll see is a number of the types of components here in the component type column that I just enumerated. Right? We have front ends, right? We have functions, and if we went on, we would see our LLMs, our embedders, and many others. Scrolling back up to the top here, a couple things to note that are particularly important. Component type, component name, so this is the registered name within the local system. We'll be referencing these components by name from a YAML configuration file. We'll see this here in a few minutes. And then on the far right provides the parameters for which these components can be configured in YAML to determine the runtime functionality of the system. Okay, so the first thing let's do is let's say, hey, we want to create a simple calculator application just to demonstrate the how to use the system. And let's say we want to see if any of these components already exist within the core library or any of the currently registered components. So I'm going to search. I'm going to use calculator as my search parameter. And I'm going to see that, okay, well, there's nothing available right now, so I will have to write everything from scratch. Being a community-oriented library, let's say we have another team that's already built an application based on this that I would like to use. In fact, there's a set of examples here, one of which is a simple calculator. So let's go ahead and pip install that. So what this will do is this will install that all its plugins, register those with IQ, so that now if I run that same query, I should see a few new registered components that I can use. Great, so I've extended IQ. I didn't have to write a single line of code, and I can leverage the work others have been done. And I can see the parameters that I would use in order to configure my YAML file. Great, so let's now take a look at what it means to be a IQ plugin package. Well, this is a pretty typical PyProject TOML file. The one key difference here to pay attention to is this section. This tells us where the registered plugins will be, so that they can be registered with IQ, discoverable by name, and usable in any agentic AI workflow built in IQ. So the next thing we'll take a look at is the YAML file. The YAML file is going to show us how we configure a runtime instantiation of a workflow that uses these components, exposes an endpoint, and then we'll communicate with that endpoint. So in the first section, describe some general settings for the workflow. Here under telemetry, we're configuring some logging settings. We're going to be logging to the console. We're going to be logging to a local file. We're also going to be sending open telemetry formatted traces to a Phoenix server, which I have running on this system. In the next section here, we have front ends. We're going to bring up a FastAPI endpoint for this workflow. We're also going to create a path for one of our functions. So let's take a look at what this actually looks like. So by default, we're going to create 4 routes for your workflow. One for generate and generate stream. These allow us to pass kind of general formatted inputs to the workflow. Under chat and stream, we're going to be able to provide OpenAI formatted inputs. And then this new one that we've specified in our configuration file just lets us submit a request directly to one of our functions instead of through the main entry point of the application. There are many cases where this might be useful. So now let's talk about some of the functions or tools. So we have 4. We have our multiply tool, inequality tool, divide tool, and a date time. So this entry point maps to this particular tool. Then the next section here is, actually, let me back up. So in our, and I'll pull it up one more time. In our search interface here, we see one of the parameters is this underscore type, right? You can kind of see that here. We need to provide the name of the component. So the name is here. So you see that we supply the name for each of these functions and also provide a runtime instance name. These names need not match, but that's how you access them at runtime. You'll also notice that this has a longer qualified name. Each of these tools is paired with a longer qualified name to deal with potential naming collisions as the number of components you install grows. Moving into the next section, we have LLMs. Here we've configured 2. One NVIDIA Inference Microservice NIM for a Llama 3.3 70B instruct model, as well as an OpenAI model. For the purposes of this, we're just going to stick with using our NIM, and we're going to access it by this name. And then the last section here is our workflow. Our workflow, again, has our type parameter, just like the rest. We're going to say, hey, use our built-in React agent. So this is part of the core library. We're going to give it 4 tools. These tools are defined by name above. We're accessing them by their runtime instance name. We're going to say use this large language model as the basis of reasoning, and then a few additional parameters. It's worth noting that we're not forced to use this built-in React agent. If there's another agent of your choice that you would like, you can go ahead and use that yourself and implement that within the IQ decorator framework, which we'll see here very shortly. All right, so now that we have everything installed, we can now bring up this workflow and go ahead and test it. So that's what we're going to do right now. We're going to use the agent IQ serve command. We're going to provide the path to this configuration file. we're hosting this locally. We're going to put it off port 8000, and we're going to start this. Oops, must have a typo here. Great. So once this comes up, we will be able to ask it simple calculator questions. So let's go ahead and ask it a question it knows how to answer. The server might have still be brought up, so let's try that one more time. It should be good at this point. All right, so the message is received by the server. We can see the intermediate steps are being streamed back to the UI. You can see that as it's reasoning, it decides it needs this calculator tool, calls that tool, and gives us the answer. This is great. Now let's ask it a slightly more difficult question. This question is going to force it to use several tools in order to answer it. One of which was part of the core library, our current date time tool. And then others that came as part of our plugin package, our multiply, our inequality. And you can see here that it's come up with the right answer. And calling all of those tools, streaming the intermediate insights back to us in the UI and providing us our final answer. Now let's ask it a question that's going to be out of its depth. The Super Bowl happened about a month ago, which is going to be out of the training data for this particular model. And we're expecting it to fumble when it intends to answer this question. And as we see here, it realizes very quickly it doesn't have the up-to-date information to see who won the Super Bowl in 2025, which was determined by the current date time tool. So this provides an opportunity to extend this. Right, so let's now go ahead and take a look at what that looks like. So I'm going to stop this application. And I'm going to use our Agent IQ workflow to create some scaffolding for our new pieces. Our goal here is to create a workflow that can answer this question by extending the previous one, creating a Python package that can be pip installable by anyone else, so we're extending IQ. IQ workflow, create, access the help menu. All right, IQ workflow, create. I'm going to say don't install by default. Put it in the examples directory, and we'll call it Wikipedia search. Here we're going to create a Wikipedia tool to allow the agent to be able to reach out to a crowdsourced internet encyclopedia for some up-to-date information once paired with the current date. So what we'll do here, what we've done now is we've created some scaffolding for this. Right? So you'll see that we've created our PyProject TOML. We've added this special section here to allow us to register our plugins. We have a source file that's been created for us. Within here, there's a few pieces that are worth pointing out. We have our configuration object. I had mentioned this previously with the how to configure the YAML file. All of the parameters in the YAML file are governed by the configuration object of the component that they are setting up. So we'll need to configure this for our new Wikipedia tool. The implementation of that happens down here. So we'll need to update this implementation. Once we've done these things, we'll install the package, and it'll be able to be used from our YAML file that we create for this workflow. So let's say we have a team member who's created a nice utility function for us that is great at working with Wikipedia. This is actually from the LangChain community, showing how to work with one of the particular frameworks. So we're going to go ahead and update the inner function here. I'm just going to copy that entirely. Looks like I need another import. So I'll grab that here. Max results will need to bring that in as well. Oops, I'll actually put this here. Some lazy imports. Oops. We're going to use pedantic fields in order to help us document our new component so that others know what each of the fields means. This is just going to be a function. So I'm going to get rid of some of this workflow nomenclature as to not confuse users. Okay, I'm going to update this with, what was the term used in our utility function? Max results. So we'll make this max results. Make it an integer. And we'll specify a default value of 1, and we'll give it a description so that others can understand what this field means. Maximum. All right. We'll update the input parameter here to question. And this is important. We will access this runtime parameter directly from the configuration object. Right, so this value will be whatever is set in our YAML file. So let's go ahead and pause for a second and review what we've done. So we've set up our configuration object. We've registered this function with IQ by passing in this configuration object. Each component comes with a couple parameters. Configuration object to access the runtime parameters, as well as a builder object. This builder object is pretty cool because if this was perhaps a more sophisticated function, I could actually access my LLMs directly from inside here, right? So I could say LLM equals builder.get LLM. I could specify the LLM name for my configuration file, as well as the wrapper type. So if you're looking closely, you know what this means is I can implement a full-blown agent within any function within an IQ component, which makes it very powerful. It means I can call other functions from functions. I can implement arbitrarily nested agents and really build out a fairly sophisticated workflow. I could do the same thing for getting functions. I could do the same thing for getting embedders, so on and so forth. But for this, we're just going to treat this as a simple tool that our main agent will access. And I'm actually going to just get rid of that to keep it simple. That's all we really need to do. Actually, one more thing. From function, we're going to provide our inner function here as well as a description. Since the agent will be doing some tool calling, we'll need to provide a description so the agent knows what this tool is capable of doing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to grab some information from the doc string and paste it here, save that, and that's all we need to do. The next thing we need is a configuration file. So like before, we're going to do that. And I'm actually going to just steal the configuration from our teammates. I'm going to put it in here. I'm going to save this. And the only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to add in our new Wikipedia tool here. Right. And actually, before I do this, to make our life a little bit easier, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to install this new plugin package. So I'm going to do this Wikipedia search. So what this is going to do, it's going to bring in all the things we just built. It's going to install it. It's going to register it. So then now if I do an IQ info components, search for Wikipedia search, oops, I'm going to get the information I need for my YAML file. All right, so I know I need max results. I'll just say 3. I know I need its name. I'm going to copy it from here. And then I'm going to provide this to my agent. Save this, make sure that this is saved. And then now we are going to serve this new workflow. So it's going to look similar to before. We're going to change the path to our new configuration file. Okay. While that comes up, just take a look at our Phoenix tracing here. Right, you can see that we've been sending our traces here that we could see what the large language model was doing all along in an OLTEL formatted log stream, which is really nice. So let's go ahead and run this again with its new tool and see if it can do a better job of answering our question. With the new Wikipedia tool we've just developed, we've extended the system. We've provided it, crowdsourced internet encyclopedia information to augment what it's been trained on, as well as the simple calculator tools. And we can now answer this question. So let's let it do its thing. And it looks like it's done just that. Right? It's identified the fact that the Philadelphia Eagles have won the Super Bowl by defeating the Kansas City Chiefs in the corresponding score. So just to recap, we've used IQ to explore what components come with the core library. We've identified some gaps. We've pulled in a plugin package from some of our colleagues. We've installed those and brought up a workflow that we've interacted with from the UI. We then identified a gap where it couldn't answer a question based on when the model was trained and the tools that it had access to. We then extended it by writing a custom function, updated the configuration file, built a new plugin package, installed that, and deployed the application. We then demonstrated we were able to fill the gap. Along the way, we built a plugin package that we could distribute to our colleagues. Thank you so much. Hope this was helpful.